Welcome to Aspen City Council. It's June 23rd. We are having a little difficulty with our Granicus, so the video is available on the City of Aspen website or YouTube. I hope I said that correctly.
We're having trouble with Zoom, not Granicus.
We're having trouble with Zoom, my mistake. You can catch us on the city site or on YouTube. Can we have a call to order, please?
Roll call vote.
Roll call, please.
Councillor Benedetti.
Here.
Councillor Guth.
Here.
Councillor Rose.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Doyle.
Here.
Mayor Richards.
All right. I believe there's no scheduled public appearances tonight, so we'll move on to citizen comments and petitions. Do we have anybody in the room who'd like to speak? Neil, please come on up.
And John, can I suggest maybe once they have Zoom back up and running, you open it up again if anyone is online?
Sure.
Who wants to do that? I don't know if there will be, but.
And Bill, just to be clear, folks online can still participate and hear the meeting. They just can't see it right now. So we're paying attention to participants.
Great. Wasn't aware of that. Thanks.
All right. Go ahead, please, Neil.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Neil Siegel, Aspen. About a year ago, the city clerk provided council with a white paper setting forth the issues related to moving the local election from March to November. And this would align with the coordinated election run by the county. That paper provided essential facts and undeniable logic in favor of moving the election date. A bit of history. The date has bounced around on the calendar over the years and is currently set for March, based on a proposal going back to 2018, I believe, from then council member Skippy Misero. At the time, the logic was that we should have a local election at the time when most elections would be in town, the ski season, ever diminishing now. The issues would be separated from the state and federal issues, and we would have a separate ballot. In theory, this would generate more local interest and improve turnout by voters. Unfortunately, history has not substantiated those assumptions. Local turnout at the local election in March has always lagged significantly behind November. The clerk's paper has a chart on page 5 which shows exactly what happened. And recall what happened in the last election in March 2025, primed for a big turnout. A spirited contest for mayor, highly competitive races for 2 council seats, a contentious, very expensive, publicized duel over 2 ballot measures, no denying the effort, the expense, and the interest. The result? Less than 50% turnout. The proposal set forth by the clerk is to move the election date, and it's inching along. There's a question on the latest community survey, but frankly, it lacks context. If you as a council agree that increasing voter turnout in these times is important, then active involvement by the council to flesh out the issues via a work session would be an ideal starting point. Public support for a charter change can be generated if council demonstrates leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Anyone else in the room? I guess we'll go online. Is there anybody online who'd like to comment? Seeing none, I'll move on to special orders of the day. Council members and mayor's comments. Any council members with comments this evening?
Nope.
I'd just like to remind everybody that there is an election going on right now, and please vote. Agenda amendments? None. City manager's comments.
I have a couple announcements. I'm filling in for Pete Strecker tonight, Tyler Christoff, Deputy City Manager. A couple announcements for community events coming up. We have a public safety forum on July 2nd, inviting all residents, employers, business owners, families to come together for interactive public safety open house focused on the community's most important safety topics: drought, wildfire, emergency preparedness, responsibility with living with wildfire, and navigating Aspen's streets safely, whether walking, biking, or driving. The event is titled Community Safety Conversations, Pedals, Pause, and Preparedness. It will take place in Galena Plaza in the Dunaway Room at Pickens County Library from 1 to 3 p.m. on Thursday, July 2nd. Also want to remind the community that the community survey is open to the general public as a biannual survey, open to the entire community, and it remains available through July 20th on the city's engagement platform, aspencommunityvoice.com. Also, we have a meet and greet with the mayor at Aspen Saturday Market on June 27th. You can stop by, meet with the mayor at the city's booth on the 27th. And then a few reminders about upcoming 4th of July holiday, prepping for 4th of July festivities. It returns July 3rd and 4th with this year's theme, 1776. The holiday weekend will feature live music, family activities, a downtown parade, aerial dance performances, carnival rides, and a nighttime drone show. Celebration begins Friday, July 3rd, and we're moving the Saturday market to the 3rd, which is that Friday. It will operate during regular hours in its regular downtown location. The Rio Grande Park will have Brown's Amusement, will offer free community carnival from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Friday, July 3rd, and Saturday, July 4th. On the 4th, we'll have our annual parade. Traffic detours begin at 7 a.m. and will remain in place until approximately 2 p.m. And then two other quick ones. Summer Bike to Work Day is tomorrow, June 24th, from 7:30 to 9:30. Pedal to Work at one of our 3 ride-through locations, Hopkins and Garmisch at Pepke Park, the Red Brick, or Bugsy Barnard Park off of Cemetery Lane. Have snacks, gifts, prizes, bike safety checks, and more. And this weekend on June 27th is Mall Fest 50 Art Parade and Block Party, celebrating our 50th anniversary of the Pedestrian malls, and they're free and open to all. And we'll have a art parade starting at 10 a.m. This Saturday.
That sounds like
Lots going on.
awesome. Sounds like fun. Board reports. Sam?
Yeah, just a quick Nordic Council update. The management plan was approved without changes for the previous copy I sent to all of council. We do have a new mission statement, though, that reads, the Aspen Snowmass Nordic Council works towards the preservation and enhancement of a high-quality, climate-resilient, seamless Nordic trail system connected to and within the community centers of Picken County.
Cool, thanks.
That is all.
Christine?
Yes, I have our APSHA board report. John and I were at APSHA last Wednesday. We had a presentation from Andy Fisher, who's the deputy chief at the Aspen Fire Protection District, and he was presenting on fire mitigation strategies for APSHA HOAs, specifically both for fire resilience, but also to help with insurance premiums. There's a national program called FireWise, which most specifically recommends 5-foot removal of any ignition sources from within structures. And so the fire department is offering assessments for HOAs, and we'll be working with APSHA on helping those organizations or HOAs run through those in terms of, or in preparation for fire mitigation. And then we also had a presentation from APSHA on the affidavit program. Every 2 years, we require APSHA homeowners to submit affidavits to prove work history or work requirements. And this was in 2025 was the first year that we actually asked for supplemental documentation for that. Happy to report that out of 1,966 affidavits, there were only 22 notice of violations issued, which resulted in 3 either forced sales or 1 eviction. So very, very low numbers, which I think everyone was happy to hear. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. I attended a Sister Cities meeting. It was probably one of the shortest ones I've been to. There, let's see, a lot of talk about the 60th anniversary of our first sister city, Garmisch, update. It's going to be on September 23rd and 24th at the Pepke Auditorium is where it will start. We'll walk to the Stollard House, enjoy a taco truck. There's going to be a Native American speaker, and there will be a tour of the Bayer Center. Also, next March, the Chamonix Angels women's hockey team is coming to Aspen. That's it for board reports. Oh,
Can I follow up on the comments by Mr. Siegel?
please.
Kate has asked me to take on a project of reviewing that white paper, and she's been talking with the mayor and city manager about bringing that item back for a work session. I don't think it's been scheduled yet, but I just thought I'd note that we are discussing it at staff level and with the mayor about bringing that issue that he raised
Right.
to a work session.
No, I will say there's a lot of logic to moving it to November 3rd. As we all know up here, there's higher voter turnout on that date. And if we shift it to November, the county runs the election, which shifts the burden of cost to them and not us.
But we still have to pay them to participate in their election, but they run it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim. Next is the Mall 50 Proclamation, 50th anniversary of our downtown mall. I guess I'll read this. Whereas in 1976, the Aspen to Pedestrian Mall made history as the first car-to-pedestrian conversion in the state of Colorado, transforming the downtown grid into a visionary pedestrian haven whose unique character has since earned historic landmark designation, national recognition as one of the, quote, great places in America, unquote, and status as a cherished city park. And whereas the mall exists today because of the persistence of Aspen citizens and visitors, including architectural design students at the International Design Conference who first envisioned a Mill Street pedestrian mall in 1956, architect Richard Lai, who advanced and advocated for the idea, formally presenting it to Aspen City Council in 1961, Aspen High School alumnae Katie Dutcher and Margot Dick, who as teenagers in 1972 mobilized the community to sign the referendum that ended 16 years of debate, and attorney Joe Edwards, who crafted the legal framework for that historic student-led initiative, architect Robin Molney, who transformed the idea into a landscape architecture plan, and the countless other Aspenites whose 20-year advocacy brought this vision to life. And whereas in its early years, the mall provided the stage for the legendary hijinks of the Aspen State Teachers College, co-founded by Dr. Slats Cabbage, including fun-fueled and irreverent stunts like mall bowling, kayak races, and the Hyman Avenue Yacht Club regattas. And whereas the mall is the birthplace of Aspen's public art collection and remains the home of the Dancing Fountain, the beloved masterwork of Travis Fulton and the late Nick DeWolf, which continues to delight and unite generations of families, and whereas the Aspen Pedestrian Mall has served as the, quote, living room of the community, unquote, a vital public commons and economic center free from the intrusion of vehicles where residents and visitors alike may gather, connect, contemplate, and simply be together. And now, therefore be it proclaimed that the mayor, the city council, and the citizens of Aspen do hereby celebrate and honor the Aspen Pedestrian Mall for its 50th anniversary. We recognize its essential role in Aspen's history and its enduring power to foster community, preserve our heritage, and promote a pedestrian-first lifestyle for all who walk its brick paths. Come on up, Austin.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Doyle, and it's nice to see City Council tonight. Thank you for allowing me to say a few words. For the record, I'm Austin Weiss, Parks and Rec Director for the city, and the city and the Aspen Public Art Program would like to invite City Council and the community to come help us celebrate the 50th anniversary of the mall this summer. It's one of our crown jewels of our community and something we take a lot of pride in. And I wanted to point out just a couple of things about some new art installations this summer that we have going on. Many of you have already seen the banners and sails erected throughout the mall. That is an installation by an artist by the name of Rachel B. Hayes. It's called Shifting Light, and if you get down there in the evening, it is spectacular. And also, along with that, we've got another pavement mural. As you've seen over the last couple of years, we have another one going on Galena Street. This year, the artist chosen for that project is Chris Erickson, and it's called In Bloom. And as Tyler mentioned earlier, we want to invite you to this Saturday's art parade. And you might ask yourself, what the heck is an art parade? And so I took some notes here to make sure I didn't get it wrong. An art parade is an artist-led, people-powered processions of costumes, contraptions, and performances celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Aspen Pedestrian Mall. All are welcome to participate. And as Tyler mentioned, we're going to start staging for the parade at 9 a.m. in Wagner Park, on the north end of the park there. The parade itself is from 10 to 11, and we'll kind of traverse through the mall and then through the Aspen Farmers Market. And then starting at 11 a.m. to noon, we're going to have a block party in Wagner Park to celebrate. So we hope you can all join us, and we hope the community will come down and check us out and celebrate with us. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, for anybody who hasn't seen Vail's lawn chair marching band or whatever it is they call it, it's really entertaining. I highly recommend visiting the parade this Saturday. Thanks, Austin.
You bet.
Next, we have an Albert Schweitzer Day of Service proclamation. Whereas Dr. Albert Schweitzer was a revered philosopher, theologian, musician, musicologist, author, and humanist of the 20th century, and at age 30 determined to serve humanity by becoming a medical doctor, and whereas shortly before World War I, he left a privileged life in his native Alsace to serve the sick and dying in Lambaréné, French Equatorial Africa, now known as the country of Gabon. Through decades of service at his West African clinics, he became recognized as the most famous and accomplished humanist of his day, and whereas his prodigious mustache, simple white clothing, and shock of unruly white hair became universally recognized and associated with his stature as a moral and ethical compass for people across the globe. In his lifetime, Albert Schweitzer was lauded as a quote-unquote living saint. And whereas Albert Schweitzer traveled from Africa to a little-known place called Aspen, Colorado, in July 1949 on his only visit to the United States to be guest of honor at the Goethe Bicentennial Convocation, where he gave the keynote address in a large tent in a meadow to an audience of 2,000 people from across the country, and whereas Schweitzer's Aspen speech regarding his inquiries into philosophy and the world of ideas at the Goethe Bicentennial inspired public demand for a repeat festival each summer season, spawning the creation of the Aspen Institute for Humanistic Studies and the Aspen Music Festival and School, which in turn inspired the International Design Conference. The Aspen Photography Festival and many more volunteer-run nonprofit events and festivals which make up the heart of our Aspen community to this day, and whereas Albert Schweitzer brought to Aspen and the world a high moral ethic with his promotion of, quote, reverence for life, unquote. His persona and auspicious visit to Aspen has long inspired generations of Aspen and Roaring Fork Valley residents and visitors to embrace the spirit of service, giving, and volunteerism. Albert Schweitzer is being honored on July 1st in Aspen for demonstrating and leading the way to the higher callings of service to others with charity, compassion, and empathy. And whereas all Aspenites are invited to celebrate the formation of the Aspen Institute for Humanistic Studies on July 1st, 1950, and now therefore be it proclaimed that the mayor, the city council, and residents of Aspen do hereby recognize July 1st in perpetuity as Albert Schweitzer Day of Service. Okay, moving on to the consent calendar. We have resolutions 079, 080, 081, and 085, series of 2026 Armory Hall construction phase change orders, and resolution 83 and 84, series of 2026 Main Street Inlet and Pedestrian Improvements, phase 2 construction. Would anybody like to make a comment, or can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Great.
Can we discuss 79 or all those Armory ones briefly? Is that okay? Or
Yes.
do you guys want to vote? Whatever you want. Yeah.
No,
No, discuss them.
Thanks. Couple thoughts and questions here, please. One, I think it needs to be acknowledged, by me at least, that this is an extraordinarily expensive project. That's not lost on me. From my perspective, I think the money was going to be spent on this building by this council, a past council, or a future council, no matter what. And I think that this use of the building is the highest and best use for the community. So I'm supportive of it and excited about the use, but it's not lost on me how expensive this is. Secondly, Pete put in a request here to be able to approve all change orders without coming back to us, up to the limit of the owner's construction and design contingency, which is nearly $7 million, which I think I'm okay with in principle, but I want to make sure that we are really informed of how that contingency is being spent and when. And so to support that, I'd request quarterly updates at a minimum on sort of change orders being approved so that we can track that and how much is left in that contingency so that we're not caught by surprise when it's depleted far sooner than we anticipate. I hope that doesn't happen, but in the event that happens, we don't want to be caught by surprise on that. If everyone thinks that that's attainable, I'd be happy to support Pete's request there. But I want to make sure we're all apprised of what's happening. I think that was really it from me.
Okay, I think that's a reasonable request.
Yep.
Yeah, staff would be happy to support that request. I think transparency around spending is cornerstone of what we do, so.
Great. So just a written quarterly sort of project status update. It can be bundled with Pete's
The updates.
city manager updates is fine with me, but I think it deserves its own page or section on how construction's proceeding, both from a financial and physical perspective.
Yeah, Ben Levinson, Senior Project Manager with Asset Management, that's no problem. We can provide that.
Thanks.
Thanks for bringing that up, Bill. Appreciate it. Anybody else? Guess we'll take a roll call vote.
Counselor Benedetti?
Yes.
Counselor Guth?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Doyle?
Yes. Okay, on to notice of call-up. Do we have?
None.
None. Okay, first reading of ordinances. Ordinance 11, Series of 2026, the fee waiver and/or deferral program for qualified locals.
Can I start by moving to read this ordinance? Would that be appropriate? Yeah, I'll make a motion to read ordinance number 11.
Second.
Well, I would note there's a little complication in this because there are actually two ordinances 11. There's a version A and a version B, I think, that's one's a fee waiver and one's a fee deferral. And there are options that are being given to you for both of those versions. So I think you can move to read both or just one. It's up to you.
I think we should read both and then vote on moving this forward how we feel fit.
You could move them both forward, or you could take no action. It's up to you. This is a legislative act.
But we have to read it no matter what.
Yeah.
To move it forward, you have to read it.
Okay.
I'll second Sam's request to read both
Yes.
versions.
They're very similar.
Okay.
I can pull it up on my laptop.
I got it.
A or B.
Okay, sorry, I have to do a roll call. Counselor Benedetti?
Yes.
Counselor Guth?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Doyle?
Yes.
Ordinance 11, Series of 2026, an ordinance of the Aspen City Council adopting a fee waiver for qualified applicants in Section 2.12.100, Building and Planning of the Miscellaneous Fee Schedule section of the Municipal Code in order to waive certain community development-based building permit fees. And then version B.
That was version A.
Oh, yes.
This is version B.
Ordinance 11, Series of 2026, an ordinance of the Aspen City Council adopting a fee deferral for qualified applicants in Section 2.12.100, Building and Planning of the Miscellaneous Fee Schedule section of the Municipal Code in order to waive certain community development-based building permit fees.
Thank you.
Is that actually, it's a fee deferral, but then it talks about in order to waive certain, is that correct statement of the title? Or should the last
defer.
Be a
waiver
deferral
be
for the second
defer?
one.
We'll make some edits.
Okay, just noting that for the record.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, City Council. Haley Hart, Long Range Planner for Community Development. We've got Ordinance 11, Series of 2026 in front of you today. This is first reading for a fee waiver and oral or deferral program for qualified locals. Just as an overview, this ordinance in front of you tonight is a result of the land use application for 790 Castle Creek Road, which council directed staff to explore potential code amendments related to waiving or deferring building permit fees for qualified locals. There wasn't a council majority on which way to sort of move forward with this, so that is why we have these two different versions in front of you tonight. We also didn't have a council majority on what exactly to waive. So in front of you are 4 permit fees associated with development in community development that are already codified within Title II, being associated with waivers that we use to sort of craft the ordinance number 11. And the Title II waivers that are already associated with these 4 permit fees are for nonprofit organizations, 100% deed-restricted affordable housing projects, small lodges, although that technically sunset last year, but it's still within the code as of today. The Affordable Housing Mitigation Deferral Agreement for qualified full-time local working residents, and development projects carried out within the city, notably through our asset, parks, and utilities departments. And just to sort of fall back that we have already opened a policy resolution for this concept, which council approved last fall. And again, we have created and proposed 2 different versions of Ordinance 11. Version A is the fee waiver. Version B is the fee deferral. And so staff conducted an analysis to the best of our ability of these fees to be waived or deferred based on the building permit for the demolition and redevelopment of a duplex at 790 Castle Creek Drive, which again was the land use application that sort of triggered this conceptual request from City Council. And you can see the actual costs of these 4 fees on the slide in blue. And building permit fees, building plan check fees, and energy code fees combined are intended to cover all of building staff services for the permit. The plan check and any energy code fees are collected up front, and those cover the review portion, and the building permit is collected at issuance to cover the inspections and administrative costs. The zoning review fee covers the cost of the zoning team's time to review the application against Title 26 and their final inspection. Based on the total amount of fees for this redevelopment, specifically at 790 Castle Creek Drive, these 4 fees make up a total of 20% of all fees collected. The next slide, an analysis shows the complete building permit fees associated with this redevelopment for 790 Castle Creek Drive, which again has now been demolished and is being built into a duplex. And as seen in the graph, 20% of the total fees, that is what is again associated with what is proposed in Ordinance 11. 3% of the total fees have the ability to be waived in Title 26 already, but the applicant has not pursued these fee waivers at this time. 45% of the total fees have already been waived and deferred. These were made up of the Affordable Housing Mitigation Deferral, which again is already codified within Title 26, and a tree mitigation waiver from the Parks Department. 16% of the total fees cannot be waived as they are outside of the city's purview. These include use tax, school dedication fees, and the sanitation district fees. And then the remaining 16% of the total fees, excluding REMP, which was about $6,000 for this permit, are outside of the community development's purview. Version A, we've got the red line snip from the ordinance down below. Again, this is a simple fee waiver. So just completely waiving all of the fees not to be collected in the future. You can see that we have used the same qualification language for what a local is based on the affordable housing mitigation deferral. And that is a qualification by APSHA's regulations. And then version B is the fee deferral. So this version mimics the Affordable Housing Mitigation Deferral Program in Title 26, which says that the fees can be deferred for working locals until the property is sold to a non-APSHA qualified owner. So it just defers the fees until the house is sold in the future, and it runs with the deed. Staff has 3 policy questions for council to consider tonight. The first is, does waiving or deferring these 4 fees serve both a significant community benefit, and is it in the public's interest? And those 2 qualifiers are what comes out of the Aspen Area Community Plan under the subsection for fee waivers. It is recognized within the AACP that the cost of doing development in the city is great. And these are the 2 sort of components that the AACP has said that need to be both met in order to create the waivers or new waivers. The second question is, how should a qualified local be defined? Again, we're already using what's codified in Title 26 for the Affordable Housing Mitigation Deferral Program, and that is through APSHA standards and regulations. But does council find that that is an appropriate definition for a new set of waivers? And then the third policy question is, should they be waived or deferred? I've got a few more slides, but I'm happy to pause now and talk through these policy questions. I can finish my presentation and we can come back to them. It's up to City Council.
Jump in with questions or wait?
I'd say finish and come back to them
Okay.
if everyone agrees.
Happy to do so.
Sure.
Okay. In the memo, staff suggested 3 different options for council to take action on this. Option number 1 is take no action. Option 2 is to motion to read and approve version A, again, the fee waiver. Option 3 is version B, the fee deferral. And staff recommends taking no action on Ordinance 11 on the creation of a waiver or deferral under Ordinance 11. When not associated with a deed-restricted affordable housing unit, staff does not find that the proposed fee waiver or deferral for free market redevelopment is consistent with the intent of the AACP, as it does not clearly provide a community benefit or otherwise serve the public's interest. Should council desire to move forward with some sort of permit fee relief, staff would be much more supportive of a deferral program.
Okay.
Thanks, Haley.
And I can move back to
Will you jump back
policy
to the slide
questions?
with your fee estimates on a duplex or whatever that was?
Yes, and these are the actual fees pulled from the permit. This one right here, or the next one?
Both,
Yeah.
but let's start there. This is the actual fees pulled from the 790
That is correct.
permit application.
Yes.
Great.
And then I did a full fee analysis in the memo of all of the permit fees associated with this permit.
Great. So question number 1, is it okay if I go?
Yes.
Sorry, I just jumped in. Is each of these fees, has each of these fees, the rates for these fees been set or recommended by ComDev to represent the cost of administering these services as close as possible to estimate?
Our general fee schedule has been in place for 10 or 12 years, at least. We are in the midst of a fee review with a third-party consultant who does fee studies all over the country, specifically an entity called Barry Dunn. They actually just did a site visit last week. I will say that we base our fees, this is going to be high level, and we could have a
That's what I'm
long
looking for.
conversation.
No,
We could have a
looking
long
for high
conversation
level.
about it, but it's based on valuation is where essentially these fees land on. And a formula and calculation, I will say those need to be updated because valuations, as they have been over the last several years, have translated both the valuations that we're seeing on projects and the volume of projects have translated into fees that are in excess of ComDev's operating costs and have been contributed to the city's overall general fund.
Okay, I get that's how you get to the fee.
Yeah.
But is the idea that the end fee for each one of these four is at a high level meant to represent the cost of administering the services?
Yes.
As wholly, right? Like that's all you're paying for. You're not paying for planning, long-range planning stuff. You're not paying for those fees baked into these other, you're not paying for other government services in your building permit fee in spirit.
This, we had a conversation with council more than a year ago about some of those questions. Council was generally supportive with building permit fees, covering some portion of planning fees. Those fees, these are not covering anything else that ComDev does other than development review. These are not covering environmental health. These are not covering those kinds of things. In those calculations, there is some consideration of the role of the city attorney's office in development review. Certainly administrative costs across ComDev are built into these. And so it's some portion of broad city administrative costs that are related to development review, ComDev administrative costs, and then the true costs of development review are incorporated in the concept of what these fees are trying to cover.
But the idea is that it's meant for the specific services of obtaining a building permit.
That's correct.
So you're not applying an override of 20% of the actual costs combined of all your permits you do each year for planning services, general planning services. There's nothing like that. I know you have planning fees that are separate. That's not what I'm asking about. There's not like this Q factor that's baked in to how you come up with these fees to provide these other services, right?
Other than to say generally there was council support as we were initiating this fee study with, kind of an updated fee study, that there was some support for building permit fees specifically, covering some of the planning division's costs that contribute broadly to what it takes to pull a building permit, a pre-application summary, planner of the day services, those kinds of things that are not necessarily feed within our planning fees, that there was a portion of planning costs.
And if you, for every $100 of these four fees, how many dollars is roughly going to that kind of stuff?
We're doing a close analysis of that right now, but at the time, and I think this is going to be the case, is probably 30%.
30%, that much. But again, it's in the spirit of providing the building permit services, right? It's not going to your long-range planning, new code development, environmental health, those sort of things.
It's not going to environmental health. There is probably just to be fully transparent, there's probably some portion of long-range planning efforts, which are kind of spread across our planning function to numerous staff, including myself, that's built into that roughly 30 to 40%.
Okay, and is that, the way you're talking, is that about what you think's going to happen in the future or on today's fee methodology and schedule?
I think it's going to be as a consequence, well, I would say that because of permit valuations and because of permit volume over the last several years that, to use a term of art, has been bonkers, I will say that we have been collecting more fees out of ComDev than our operating costs require over the last few years. And I will say that we are engaged in a fee study with a consultant to understand exactly what that means moving forward in time.
Okay, so to be clear, you're bringing in more revenue than your expenses?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, the reason I'm asking these questions is I'm trying to understand, is this something that, are these fees something that are a direct exchange for service, or if it's funding the broader work of the city? And I think I generally have the answer from you on that.
I would say that the intention of these fees, as they are formulated, in the past and moving forward as a consequence of this fee study, are to reflect the cost of providing development review over time.
That's great. That's what I think they should be. And last comment on these fees specifically is I hope that with the advent of AI, we can reduce some of the administrative cost of these reviews and be more efficient and actually bring down some of these fees to represent the true cost of review. That'd be my hope. I know that's broader than this specific discussion.
There are tools in the industry that are going down that path.
That's great.
They're not there yet, but they're going down that path.
That's great. Zooming out from this, my overall perspective on this is that these 4 fees shouldn't really be either deferred or waived. But I think we should focus on something else. And I think there's one minor tweak that isn't talked about in your memo at all. It's not what you were asked to focus on, but I do think accomplishes a lot of what these applicants and other applicants are looking for. And that's, I think that there's a fundamental issue with the deferral of affordable housing mitigation fees as it's set up today. And that fundamental issue is that the fee rate at deferral is not fixed, unless I'm wrong.
It has changed recently. It was one of the things that we did with the moratorium response. It is identified as a dollar figure, and it is fixed based on CPI moving forward. That was not the case prior to that code change, and I do agree with that criticism prior to that code change. But the change that was made identified a dollar figure based on today's.
That's great.
Based on today's mitigation calculation, and then is set with the exception of a CPI adjustment over time.
Great.
And I would
thank you for that. And then I have no comment on that. I think it'd be informative to know as a percentage of your full fee analysis, Haley, what percentage on this particular project affordable housing mitigation fees represent? I don't know if you have that handy or not, but it's somewhere in the green box, I think, right?
Yes, and it was the large majority. I mean, I think it was in the 300,000s, and the tree mitigation waiver was like 20 or 30,000. It's in the memo, I think. Am I close?
Like 350.
350 of 791.
Out of 791, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm satisfied with, thank you for filling me in on that adjustment. I think that's a beneficial adjustment, and I don't see a need for waiver or deferral on those services, but I am optimistic that you'll find a way to bring those fees down. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sam.
First off, if this was passed tonight, it would not be like going to Stone, it would go to what, P and Z and other
And
bodies?
HPC,
Yeah,
yeah,
for
P&Z and
review.
HPC. Mhm.
Okay, so a little less threatening to start. Secondly, I was wondering, well, I just sort of wanted to state my goals. So especially with this example, my goal was to be able to keep longtime locals in town and be able to pass it from family, from generation to generation. I feel like a lot of people sell not because they want to, because they have to. And they also have like kids here who they'd like to pass the home to, but with obviously fees being just one side of the coin, then construction costs, it just becomes very cost prohibitive. So that's like the goal here, is to keep longtime locals. So I'm just wondering how many, like, not that you'd know this, how many families would qualify, especially in the city of Aspen, that work locally? I was thinking that as far as defining local would be someone who meets basically APSHA requirements, who works here, their 1,500 hours, works locally. And I mean, in my mind, this is for people who have kids and are passing it to the next generation, but I guess they could pass it to other family members so long as they qualify as well. And yeah, I was thinking more in line with Bill as far as just like loss of revenue, but it sounds like you're doing a fee adjustment anyway, and I don't know how many people would qualify, but I do think this is a good value signal to go down this path. So I would be supportive of the deferral program being explored further to see if it can be shaped to allow longtime locals to stay in their family home, pass it from generation to generation, qualify in a way that's not a deed restriction, but that is a requirement. And if, I guess, since it's a deferral program, if there is a way to set up a mechanism where they don't meet that requirement somehow, that's not like retirement, that they would end up having to pay those fees back. So I do feel like this is one of those ones in the deferral-wise that can be self-resolving. So I might come back around, but basically I'd be supportive of at least exploring the deferral program with the goal in mind of keeping longtime locals in their homes without having to sell and passing it on to the next generation, which is, this is being the prime example.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I can respond to that real fast.
Yeah,
but,
thank you.
Yeah, I tried to figure out, like, our Salesforce system has a tab where you can see if it's an affordable, like a deed restricted unit, but we don't have any mechanism to know permits coming in if they're like for locals. I did find that we have like 5 affordable housing mitigation deferrals written in the last 5 years. I don't know if that's a good number, though, just because that's such a great cost. So that is all I could find. So I think part of our issue with this is just not really knowing what the number is and how that would affect the revenue as well. So.
Thank you. And that's why I'd like to explore this path. Like I said, that those are the consequences at this point. And the other side that you just reminded me of is our demolition allotment program. A lot of those people that have applied for demolition have been longtime local families, and I don't know if they would have stayed and kept their home and passed it to the next generation had they considered that to be a more affordable option. Some of them felt like their only choice was to sell. And again, I'd like to give people another choice. They can sell, or maybe they can keep their home and it can be more affordable to maintain in this tough economy. But at least from the city perspective, what we can do to help and defer till it's sold to someone who doesn't qualify. So, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I am generally agreeing with both of you in exploring the deferral. In answering the questions, I don't think it's a significant community benefit to waive the fees, and I don't think it's in the public's interest. Deferring could potentially benefit some of these families, but we're using the term qualified local and longtime local a little bit interchangeably, and I think we need to define those or agree on which one we want. Qualified local, someone could come in, become a qualified local pretty quickly through the APSHA guidelines, and then take advantage of this program, and we see what happens there. So I think maybe for the next discussion and reading too, that we want to consider a long-time local. I would support maybe considering a long-time local as a definition, since that's the one that we're using for the demolition allot program. There probably won't be very many of these coming forward if we're looking at demolition allotment, long-time locals, and waiving these fees. But I think we should have that as part of the conversation if we move to deferral on this. And then to answer number 3, I think I would consider deferral. I, again, wouldn't consider waiving it.
Can I ask a question, Christine, of Christine? Why, in your mind, is it a negative if someone new arrives to the community that meets this qualified local definition and takes advantage of this program? Why is that a bad thing?
The intention to me of the permit and building fees is to offset the cost of the administrative staff, but there's also just the cost to the community. And I think that the fees, all of these fees are trying to address that cost to the community. There's a significant amount of money to be made on development here. And so someone coming in, benefiting from us deferring a fee and passing it down the road to somebody else and then having that, having the community kind of eat that cost at the time of the building permit, and they get the benefit of the valuation in the project, if that makes sense. In my mind, that's how I'm seeing it.
So the negative, I'm not saying I agree or disagree, I'm just interested, I'm curious on your perspective here. So the negative would be that the community is carrying the cost burden for the period of time between issuance of the building permit and recapture of that fee.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah.
Is that right? And if their interest is making money on the development, that would be more than likely a short carrying time, right?
Potentially.
I'll interject and just say, I don't think it needs to be 35 years, but it should not be 0 or 1, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So there is that happy medium there that says that you're a little more committed to this community and that it meets once again, the values that I think we're putting out here of trying to pass it on to the next generation, presumably kids, maybe a family member, but keeping the home in the family and meeting the criteria of actually working and contributing locally.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm just trying to think of this in like the context of the reality of our development market. And let's say someone who has significant financial means, because no matter what you're building, it's going to cost a lot of money, at least today, whether it's 1,000 square feet or 5,000 square feet. And so let's say somebody moves to the community or has recently moved to the community, and they are, they have the financial resources, and I don't know the exact specifics of this qualified local definition, but it's basically meeting APSHA criteria, right? So you got to work and live full-time in Pickens County. And so let's say that's a leader of some local organization who's relatively well compensated, but maybe their financial resources come from elsewhere. Like, why would it be a bad thing if we're going to do that for somebody who's lived here for 20 years, why would it be a bad thing for us to also support somebody who's not burdening the APSHA program directly, who's creating new quality housing stock? I just don't see it as a negative. I don't think in either of these events that there's like a lot of customers for this.
Yeah.
No matter how it's structured, I think that this is like really a small customer base, but I just don't see that as a negative thing. This is not being offered to like someone who doesn't live and work here. I think we could easily carve out entities from being eligible, Like, that's not what anyone's talking about anyways. We're talking about qualified locals. So if somebody's doing this as a development, as a for-profit development, 9 times out of 10, in my experience, it's going to be in an entity name, not an individual name. So like the opportunity to negatively take advantage of it, I think is so small. I'd suggest that it's worth sort of broadening it a little bit in case we capture those circumstances where there is someone who's a contributing member of the community who meets the definition, who has the resources to do this.
Not to completely punt, but those are the questions I would ask P and Z and HPC as well.
Right.
So like, don't need to decide right now. You might be right, for sure.
So it's sort of strange that this is going to P and Z and HPC. I don't know if that's a code requirement in our charter, but actually I would argue that some of these kind of questions were better suited to address. They're more used to dealing with like, and it's not a criticism of anyone. It's just like they're more used to dealing with the specifics of our codes and regulations. And I think our role is more to think more broadly about the community's interests. So something to chew on.
Yeah.
Okay. Lively. I guess I'll answer the questions first. I honestly don't think these would serve a significant community benefit, and I don't feel it's in the public's interest. I would like to know, as Christine pointed out, what exactly a qualified local is. And I agree with what's been stated up here and with staff. I'd like to see the deferral studied, but I honestly think we should study more about the deferral and not take any action on this tonight, is my stance. I guess do we need to vote on that? Or do nothing?
For the record, it would help if you did vote one way or the other. But I've gotten the sense that there is some support for moving deferral forward. So you can pick one and make a motion to move that forward and not make any other motion. You can move, it's B, I think, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, if that's what the council wishes.
Also, for the sake of things, this is first reading. Will it come back for second, presumably?
It'll come back,
Yeah.
but it's going to go to P&Z and HPC.
Before coming back to second.
Before it
So
comes
we'll have
back to you.
Okay, so this is more consequential.
Yeah.
than one.
All right, well, I'll move to approve Ordinance 11, Version B, deferral with the correction of the word waive in the header paragraph to change to defer.
Seconded.
All right. Nicole, can we have a roll call vote?
Counselor Benedetti?
Yes.
Counselor Guth?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Doyle?
Yes.
Thank you. Just for some clarification on my end to know how to proceed. Would you like for me to bring a menu of definitions of qualified local to P&Z and HPC to get their input on that?
Yeah, I would believe so.
I'd suggest we just use APSHA requirements. That'd be my suggestion for simplicity. I don't know why we need to reinvent the wheel.
I was more concerned that APSHA has a number of requirements, such as like categories and other things that make you, so like if you're just qualifying like as an RO versus a category 1 or something
It is simply about your residency for this. It's not like needing to qualify for what category you are. It's more about your status of Pickens County being your primary residence, how many hours you're working.
Yeah, it's the basic 1,600-hour work requirement, and then also qualifies to people who are acknowledged within the APSHA program of meeting requirements for retirement and staying in one's residence. And so either people who are actively working and meet that 1,600 hours or have met the requirements for retirement and staying in one's unit and qualifying in that way.
No income look, no asset look, just the work and the residency.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Correct.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. One other request, not to like tilt the scales, but would be to go back to this family and talk to them about this. They might know of others, and they might have good insight into how this would affect them and the questions that we posed up here tonight as the prime example.
The other piece of feedback, Haley, it doesn't need to be binary in my mind. It doesn't need to be 100% deferral. Maybe there's some percentage or
Yeah.
maybe there's a couple options,
Yeah, based on like valuation or something like that, yeah.
size, I don't know. I don't know how to, I'm thinking off the cuff, but it doesn't need to be binary, I think.
I feel like I've got good direction. I'm wondering, before bringing a second reading in front of y'all, if it would be good to have some sort of check-in. I don't know. I just think there's a lot of openness to this, but I don't know.
What I heard, I think the deferral's clear. I think there were a couple questions about the status. You know, I think we landed on some direction around the sort of APSHA status. I think we can move with this and see what your review board's recommendations will be coming out of this, and come back with a proposed second reading. And we can identify all these issues again with second reading.
You can always continue second reading too,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks.
Thanks, Haley.
Thanks. That was a little bit of an unusual presentation on a first reading, but thanks for the good conversation. It was a little bit of a novel process for us to structure that memo and discussion. So
I think productive.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
Okay.
Ben.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, next we have public hearings.
You saved an hour plus in a work session, by the way, so
Yeah,
I'm totally open to that.
that's what the intention was.
All right, we have before us ordinance 12, series of 2026, 406 West Smuggler Street to establish one transferable development rights certificate.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. I'm Dan Folk, Planning Director. So tonight is a second reading on an ordinance to, as you just said, create one TDR certificate. And so with us tonight is Kim Raymond. She's representing the property owner. Kim's with Kim Raymond Architecture and Interiors. And so if we can make her a presenter, she's got a short presentation, and then I'll go through some of the criteria required for your decision tonight.
I have a really short presentation, and I just brought this for fun.
Do you want to put it in front there?
This is what a poster that we found in 406 when we first went to start the development, and it's the photographic story of the house being moved from the bottom of Shadow Mountain.
Oh, cool.
The 406 Smuggler. It's on the truck, and then they built the basement, and then there's a little quip about from Mary V.A about the house being moved. It's a really cool story if anybody wants to just kind of look at that.
And that was the Keenest house, right?
That's the Keenest house.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
And so it was interesting that he was called, when he became the sheriff, Dick Keenest, he was called Dick Dove, and the police were the Department of Love, because he was changing the whole premise of how police work should be done.
He's an icon.
Yeah. So it's been really super cool working on this little building. Join as panelist.
Yep.
Hopefully you'll see my screen. How do I share? Oh, share?
Oh, yeah, then you have to share, then pick your screen.
This one.
Yep.
Technology's not usually my thing.
Share right there.
So this is the Keenest house as it is right now. You can see that there's some historic detail that needs to be, that will be preserved. We'll do a lot of preservation work on this little building. When we first found this building, we didn't think the long shed on the east side was actually historic, and after doing some due diligence, we found out that it was. So this is a very unusual looking little miner's cabin, and we were super excited to maintain it to look just like that. Right now, this is the way the site looks. This is the whole building after they moved it to this site and then did a big addition to house all of their sons. So you can see in the red, that's a diagram of this part of the building that was added, and that's the non-historic part that we are removing to do the preservation of the little cabin. This is the proposed site plan, so the little house in the front, that we left it completely detached from the building in the back, so it becomes a duplex that's attached below grade. So it looks like two separate buildings, and that gives us the best preservation of that little building. And you'll notice the window well right here, kind of between the two. It's totally hidden from the street, and it was the HPC bonus that allowed us the way of calculating the floor area that gave us the extra floor area. The building didn't change size. We didn't get a bonus except for the way we calculate floor area. And then the HPC approved a TDR for us, so we could help defray the costs of the preservation work. And then the TDR review criteria is the sending site has to be a historic landmark, and it is. This house has been historically designated in the R6 zone district. The proposed development that was approved by HPC creates no nonconformities, and there's ample unused floor area to remove the 250 square feet. And this is the way it breaks down. A duplex on this lot is allowed 3,600 square feet. The proposed floor area with the calculation bonus is 3,177, so that leaves us 434 square feet left over, minus the TDR, leaves 184 square feet of unused floor area on the lot. And there's probably no way to add that just because there's not a lot of space left on the lot. So we appreciate the opportunity to have the TDR. And then this is what it will look like when it's developed, when we do all the preservation work and the little buildings, the other buildings behind it.
Jim, just for clarity, you said that the units are connected subgrade. Did you mean that the foundations are adjacent, or are they
It's a big basement.
Actually connected.
Between, this connected. So that light well is shared by both units.
Are the living spaces below grade shared?
No, it's two separate buildings. I can show you the floor
It's a
plan.
demised wall, right?
Here's the floor plan of the basement.
Yeah, no, that's all I need
That's
to
the
know.
main level. Sorry. I don't have a basement.
That's okay.
But below, so
I
the.
just wanted to
that's-
clarify that comment.
Yeah, that light well that's here, it gives egress to the family room that's for this unit. And then this unit has 2 bedrooms that use this as egress. And that just gets nice light down into a basement, so it doesn't feel so basement-like.
Thanks.
Cool.
And that's, oh, and then the last thing is the owner knows that once the TDR is severed, it's gone for good. So that's his acknowledgement. It's notarized. So that's all I have. Thanks. Let me turn this off. Stop sharing.
I think we got to do public comment unless anyone has other.
Open the public hearing.
Yes, got a couple. I've got a few slides.
Oh, sorry.
I'll try not to duplicate, and then you can do your public hearing. It's going to happen, I can tell. Oh, come on.
The screen.
I know, but it stopped. All right. Sorry.
Tell me this happens.
Oh, my gosh. It closed my PowerPoint. I apologize. Give me 1 second to reopen my PowerPoint here.
Take your time. This is not an isolated incident.
The problem is when it lags, I need to not push any buttons.
You keep pushing
And I
that.
keep pushing buttons, and then it does something else. All right, where is it? Now it's telling me it can't find the file that I just had open. Yeah, I can get it another way. Oh, no, I can't get to the G drive.
I will say my computer was moving extremely slowly this afternoon here, too. Maybe it's something in the system.
All right, thank you so much for your patience. All right, so we are here for the second reading. This is just to orient you, the properties on West Smuggler between North 4th and North 3rd Street. Kim has done a great overview of the project. I'll just skip down to the benefits. There was a setback variation, and then we actually call it a light well exemption. I think Kim referred to it as a bonus, but essentially that light well, there's some exemption which preserves some of your floor area. And then the request tonight for the one certificate for the transferable development right. You've seen the finished product. And then here's the math once again. So yeah, starting with 3,600 square feet. The proposed floor area with the exemption is 3,177, which leaves 423. We issue certificates in increments of 250 square feet, and so that would leave 173 square feet on the property. And then I'll just go through the criteria. Kim went over a couple of them, but I think there's 10. One is that the site is designated, it is, that it's permitted for a single-family home, and has at least 250 square feet of unused square footage, which it does. Does not create a nonconformity. When we do this analysis, we're only supposed to look at actual development rights, not potential bonuses and things, and so we've done that. D requires a deed restriction that permanently restricts it based on how many certificates are coming off the property. So in this case, it would be a deed restriction to remove 250 square feet. Required to have a real estate closing, at which point the city issues the TDR certificate and the owner provides the deed restriction. G, it's the responsibility of the owner, the sending site, to provide us plans and zoning analysis to our satisfaction, essentially to establish the square footages, that's happened. H is the sale, assignment, and conveyance and transfer of the TDR certificate shall be recorded in the public records, and then they're required to provide a report to the city of Aspen. And this is actually where we get that data that we've provided. They give us the certificate number, the grantor, the grantee, and then the value of the consideration paid for the certificate. So when we've provided some of those valuations, it's from this reporting requirement. So when the TDR certificate is actually used. And then it's up to the property owner to decide when to use that TDR certificate. They could sit on it and not use it if that was their choice. And then finally, council, this is your decision. You may find that the creation of the TDR is not the best preservation solution of the affected resource and deny the application to create TDRs, and then you get a recommendation from the commission. So it's kind of written in the negative way there, but you could also, if you find that it is the best preservation solution, then you would approve the TDR certificate. And so we did get a recommendation of approval from the commission back earlier this year, I believe it was, and that resolution is attached in your packet. And so we are recommending approval of Ordinance 12, Series of 2026, to create one transferable development rights certificate for 406 West Smuggler. That's my show.
Great, it was worth the wait.
Thank you, I appreciate that. That helps me.
I guess, let's see, we're going to open public comment on this. Is there anyone in the room who'd like to make a comment? Seeing none, I will go online. Is there anybody online who would like to make a comment? Don't see any hands up. All right, I think that's enough time. No public comment. So we'll move forward to, I guess, a vote.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 12.
Thanks.
Second.
Awesome. Nicole, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Benedetti?
Yes.
Counselor Guth?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Doyle?
Yes.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kim.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Of course.
Roll call vote, please. Nicole?
Counselor Benedetti?
Yes.
Counselor Guth?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Doyle?
Yes. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.